Husband confessed he's never been physically attracted to me. There are moments in life that shake you to the core, and this was one of those. My husband and I have been together for a little over 4 years, married for 2, and we share a beautiful baby boy who's just under a year old. Our relationship seems strong, but something had been gnawing at me for a while. Intimacy had become almost non-existent, especially after I got pregnant, but I had convinced myself it was just a phase, something we'd overcome together. It all started when I got pregnant. My husband completely stopped initiating any physical connection. I remember the first time I asked him about it. He said he didn't want to risk harming the baby or triggering another miscarriage, as we'd already gone through that heartache once before. His reasoning made sense at the time, so I didn't press it. Between working full-time, finishing my medical degree, juggling clinical placements, and even doing an online course for him to help with his career change, I barely had time to worry about it. He, on the other hand, was working a regular 8-hour shift in hospitality. I figured we'd get back on track after the baby arrived. But here we are, more than 7 months postpartum, and nothing's really changed. We've had sex maybe 2 or 3 times, and each time felt distant. Whenever I'd ask him about it, he'd blame his body image, saying he'd gained about 10 kilos during my pregnancy and wasn't happy with how he looked. But honestly, aside from a little extra weight around his belly, he looked pretty much the same to me, and I still found him attractive. It didn't add up. On our anniversary night, with our baby at daycare for a couple of hours, I thought we could finally have some much-needed time to ourselves. I gently brought up the subject again, hoping to understand why he seemed so distant. I was expecting reassurance, maybe a bit of vulnerability on his part, but what he said instead left me completely shattered. He confessed that he had never been physically attracted to me, not the way he had expected, at least. He said that the first time we were intimate, about 3 months into our relationship, he realized that my body didn't fit the image he had built up in his mind from seeing my social media photos. He didn't feel that overwhelming physical desire he thought he would, and yet he still chose to marry me. His reasoning? I was marriage material, someone he could trust and not be embarrassed to introduce to his family. Hearing those words felt like a punch in the gut. I couldn't believe it. The pictures he was referring to were from a time in my life when I had more freedom, before the responsibilities of medical school, a full-time job, and motherhood took over. Back then, I was 25, in a relationship where I didn't have to worry about money, I had time to sleep 8 to 10 hours a night, I could work out daily, and I had the resources to pamper myself. Now, I'm a new mom juggling countless responsibilities, but I've still managed to lose all my pregnancy weight. I exercise when the baby naps, I go on power walks with him, I eat carefully, and I even try to do my hair and makeup whenever I leave the house. I may not lounge around in sexy lingerie at home, because let's be real, I'm raising a baby, but I still wear flattering gym clothes most of the time. I'm doing the best I can. And yet, here I am, hearing from the man I married that he's never been physically drawn to me in the way he wanted to be. He made me feel like I was some sort of consolation prize, someone who checked all the right boxes for marriage, but never lit that spark for him. To make matters worse, he hasn't been financially supportive either. For the past 5 months, I've been the one keeping our household afloat, while he transitioned into a new career. He quit his hospitality job to pursue something commission-based, but so far he hasn't earned a single cent, not even enough to cover diapers for our baby. I'm talking not even $1, and that's no exaggeration. And yet, during our conversation, he had the audacity to say he didn't feel supported by me in his new job. How am I supposed to support something that hasn't contributed to our family's basic needs? It's been 2 days since that conversation, and I haven't spoken to him since. Honestly, I don't know when I will. I've been replaying his words in my head, wondering how I missed all the signs, how I could have misunderstood his love and attraction for me. I always believed that he loved me as much as I loved him, that he was genuinely attracted to me, not just settling for someone he deemed suitable for marriage. He even went as far as to say that he had so many options. but chose me because he couldn't trust those other options to build a stable family with. I'm heartbroken. I'm angry. And I'm confused. Part of me wonders if I'm overreacting, but another part of me knows that what he said has deeply damaged my sense of self-worth. I'm working so hard to be the best version of myself, not just physically, but in every aspect of my life, and yet I still feel like I'm not enough in his eyes. I can't help but think that by the time I reach that point of becoming the best version of myself, I might not even want him anymore. What do you all think? Am I blowing this out of proportion, or is my hurt justified?